Whether you're a brand new player to Classic or a returning player to play some hardcore, it's easy to forget that you need to make 80 gold by the time you're level 40 in order to afford your mount, and this is no simple task. So today we're going to go over some of the things you absolutely need to implement into your gameplay that will help you both save gold and make you gold in order to help you reach this goal. If you find any of these tips helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe, but without any further ado, let's get into the video. So starting out with arguably the most important one, if you haven't already, install the add-on Auctionator. Auctionator is an insanely good add-on for making and saving you gold. It improves the auction house experience overall, as well as shows auction prices on item tooltips. You'll see with Auctionator installed, it adds a whole bunch of new tabs like shopping, selling, as well as the Auctionator tab to your auction house, and each of these serves a really good purpose. The selling tab is especially important, as when you sell anything on the auction house, you should always do it through this. It sorts all items by unit price, so it will always price your stack 1 copper under the cheapest current auction. This means when other people are shopping for that specific item, yours is going to be the first to show up for them as it's the cheapest. The shopping tab is equally as important, as whenever you're buying a specific item, you should always search for it here, because it will sort all items, no matter how large the stack is, by unit cost, so you are always getting the cheapest deal possible. Without Auctionator, it's not entirely clear what the cheapest price for an item you need is, so it's easy to just go to the largest stack possible and just buying stacks of 20 because you assume you're getting some kind of bulk deal, but in reality, you're probably spending more unnecessary silver than you need. As for the Auctionator tab, this is important because this is where you do a full scan of the auction house, and you're going to want to do this every once in a while, as these are the current prices that will show on the item tooltips, so you're going to want to make sure you have the most up-to-date prices. With Auctionator, you no longer need to make a guess whether something's going to be worth selling on the auction house or not. You can make judgment right away whether you want to vendor something or send it over to a bank alt to sell on the auction house. Which leads me into my second point, make a bank alt. Seriously, stop keeping your gold on your main character, because guess what? In hardcore, they can die, and all your gold goes with them. Sort of treat your bank alt like a savings account. Regularly send gold over to them, and really only keep enough on your main character that you can afford your abilities, profession materials, and things like that. Which leads right into my next point, and this will help you do that, is stop buying so much. It's so easy to get tempted by those juicy new green items on the auction house. Oh, it's only 20 silver, it's only 30 silver, and that keeps happening, and slowly but surely all your gold is gone, because every couple levels you've been spending it on gear upgrades on the auction house. And the reason I mention this is because I've been guilty of this in the past myself. It is such an easy habit to fall into. Of course, there's some exceptions to this. If you are a weapon-dependent class like a warrior or a rogue, and you're going quite a few levels without a new weapon upgrade and your damage is suffering because of it, sometimes it's not a bad idea to buy yourself a slight upgrade on the auction house. But even with things like professions, it can be so easy to just want to buy all your mats on the auction house instead of farming them yourself. But again, in the end, this is going to waste so much gold versus you could have just been farming these materials yourself. I've kept alchemy leveled up perfectly fine on my own from just regularly herbing between quests. Another thing worth mentioning is that you have a lot of abilities as most classes that you can actually just avoid buying completely. On Wowhead, you'll actually find full guides and lists of abilities that you can just completely avoid needing upgrades for. For example, on a rogue, you don't actually need to buy upgrades for Gouge or Kick, because all it does is adds damage to those abilities, but the utility, which is what the ability is kind of intended for, stays exactly the same. And then a lot of abilities you can just avoid buying altogether because they're quite useless. Things like the Sentry Totem on a Shaman, it absolutely serves no purpose to your gameplay, so save yourself the gold and just avoid buying it. Because one thing we can all agree on is abilities are really expensive in Classic, so save money here when you possibly can. So you might be wondering, you've been talking about a lot of ways on how to save gold, how can I make gold? Well, of course, besides selling your BOEs on the auction house, the #1 source of income for you in Classic is going to be your profession. Professions are something you absolutely need to keep up on in Classic. It's so easy to fall behind on them when you move to a new zone and you can't mine the nodes there anymore, you can't gather the herbs there because they're all red, so you kind of just give up on the profession entirely because you don't want to go back to the old zones to catch up on it. But this is something you cannot let happen, as this is going to be your main moneymaker in Classic. Whenever you see the little dot on your minimap, always go out of the way to mine that node, gather that herb, skin that beast, as this will make upkeep on your profession much easier. The great thing is Auctionator actually plays really well into professions, because when you look at your profession tab with Auctionator, it will actually show you the cost of mats versus the cost you can sell that item for, so you can actually see exactly how much profit you'll make on anything that you can craft. And this becomes especially true when you come across rare recipes along your journeys, as these items will typically sell for more than the default ones you learned from the trainer. My next piece of advice to actually making gold rather than saving it is take advantage of your class utility. Some classes have insanely good utility that is really beneficial to other classes. Sorry, warriors. And you can actually monetize these services by providing them to other players. So some examples might include mages being able to sell portals to cities, mages being able to sell food and water, mages being able to sell AoE carries through dungeons. You might be noticing a bit of a trend here. There's no denying that mages have the most monetizable service utility of any class in the game, but that's not to say other classes don't have options as well. For example, warlocks, they have the ability to summon, meaning they can go to any hard to get to place in the world and offer summoning services for a fee. Even rogues, they have lockpicking, which means they can lockpick boxes for you that you would otherwise have no way of being able to open. And that's it. If you incorporate all of these things into your gameplay and make it a regular routine, there is no question you will be able to afford your mount at level 40. And if you know a really good gold making technique that wasn't mentioned in this video, be sure to let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your ideas. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next one.